Kathy Hobbs had premonitions her whole life that she wouldn't live past 16 years old. She was right. This resulted in extreme anxiety, which developed into agoraphobia. She never had a normal life because she never left the house. When the day of her 16th birthday came and went, she thought the curse had been broken and started to live a normal life. 3 months after her birthday, Kathy decided to go out and get something from the store. That same night, her mother woke up with a sensation of being hit in the head. Kathy never returned home, and 9 days later, her body was found. Was this a premonition come true, or was this planned? Hello strangers and strangelings, welcome back to another episode of Strange Bar and Grill. Before we get into today's story, if you like true crime and storytelling, then this is the place to be, here with me, JP. So kick back, grab a drink and a snack, and make sure to tip that like button. Join that SBG family by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to make sure you're getting notified when I release a weekly video. Alright guys, let's go. Now you see, Kathy Hobbs had a hard childhood. Her parents divorced when she was only 8 years old. This was especially difficult on her because she was close to her father. When she was in middle school, a close friend died from a heart condition. She almost always spoke of feelings or premonitions that she would never live to be 16. She and her family moved to a residential apartment complex in Las Vegas in order to help her get her mind off of her fears. She made several friends and seemed to adjust pretty well until her 16th birthday approached. Kathy once again just feared that she was going to die. She spent all of her time in her room and refused to leave the house. On the morning of her 16th birthday, however, she was surprised and relieved to realize that she was still alive. She says, "Hey, I'm still alive. I seem to have broke the curse." In her eyes, she seemed to have overcome her fears. She confided in her family that her premonitions were unfounded, and she began to live this normal teenage life. She started to spend more time with her friends and began to wear makeup. She developed an interest in beauty and makeup products, and she started pursuing a career as a beautician. She even planned to open up her own salon called Cat's Cuts. However, she would vanish without explanation on the night of July 23rd, 1987. That night, she was reading a book in her room. At around 11 p.m., she told her mom, her mother Vivian, that she was taking a quick trip to the nearby supermarket to purchase another book. The store was just a couple of blocks away. Vivian believed that she would walk to the store with her friends in their apartment complex, as she normally did. However, none of her friends were actually around this night. So Kathy went alone. And at around 3 a.m., Vivian, her mom, awoke. She heard a sound in her sleep, and she felt like she had been hit on the head. And this wasn't your typical mom's awakening. You know, if you wake your mom up, she sounds like she's been through it. I don't know what it is, waking moms up in the middle of the night. They just sound like they've been through hell. But this one was different. She felt like a physical blow to the head, basically. But then afterwards, she got this peaceful feeling, and she just felt like something was over. She had this feeling like it was over. At that time, Vivian did not understand the meaning of that experience. But the next morning, Vivian discovered that her daughter's bed was empty. She soon contacted the police, and an extensive search began. It was feared that she had been abducted. Her picture was issued to the entire police department. The local media publicized her disappearance, and volunteer organizations were mobilized to go searching for her. One supermarket employee, who was later questioned by the police, said he had sold Kathy a book and that she left. So far, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Store receipts did confirm that someone purchased a paperback novel at 11:17 p.m. on that night of her disappearance. The evidence showed that she had made it to the store at Desert Inn Road and Maryland Parkway, but authorities could not determine where she went from there. It was believed that she was abducted. However, they were unable to find any witnesses to her abduction, despite the area being highly populated. Just 9 days later, a geologist looking for some rock crystals would discover Kathy's body in a remote field near Lake Mead, about an hour's drive from Las Vegas. Investigators found tire prints at the scene, which showed that a vehicle had pulled in, turned around, and then left. 2 rocks were found near her body. They were covered in blood. The blood was analyzed, and it was determined that the blood stains matched her blood type. The coroner determined that she had died from repeated blows to her head. Again, that's the feeling that the mom felt, a blow to her head, and then this peaceful calm later coming over her. It was also determined that she had been assaulted, and tragically it appeared that Kathy's premonitions were almost accurate. Although she lived to the age of 16, she had just been killed only 3 months after that. After her death, her family found letters that she had written to them. The letters were dated 1 month before her 16th birthday. She talked about how much she loved her family and did not want them to be upset about her death. As Kathy's family mourned, the authorities continued their investigation. On October 24th, exactly 3 months after Kathy vanished, an answering machine at the Las Vegas Police Department recorded a call from an anonymous informant who claimed to have witnessed her abduction. He gave the correct location of where Kathy was last seen, along with an accurate description of what she was wearing that night. He claimed that he did not contact police sooner because he was out of town for several months. That sounds wildly suspicious. I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing right now. Very suspicious. Like, if you guys have kids eat all the damn snacks, eat all the cookies. There's always one that has too much accurate information in their theory on like who ate all the cookies and who did what. I heard some plastic ripping at approximately 3 p.m. and I saw 3 identical crumbs all in a line. I'm like, dude, quit playing. It was you. That's why you skipped dinner. That's why your stomach hurts. Case closed. Man, I should have been a detective out here solving all the important snack crimes in the house. But anyway, back to the story. I'm getting off topic here again. Authorities theorized that Kathy was abducted by 1 or 2 individuals somewhere between the store and her apartment complex. They believed that she was driven to the lake and killed that evening. The caller's story seemed to fit with their theory. The caller explained that they'd seen 2 men abduct Kathy and that Kathy was fighting them back and she was screaming so loud, which is strange because it was a highly populated area. They also described Kathy's clothing in great detail. The caller gave them a license plate number for the abductor's car. However, the caller did not leave his name or contact information. He just hung up right after that. The police checked on that license plate number and discovered that it didn't exist. Despite everything at the time, the witness never called back and Kathy's murder remained unsolved at that time. But this case does get solved. But back to this caller, the caller is very suspicious. Like, why didn't they come forward sooner? Why didn't they provide more information? Why were they so secretive? If I was that detective, I would be thinking, yeah, you did it, man. You're the one. Like, you seem to know a lot about this crime and you're being very evasive. They didn't have Star 69 back in the day or something? I don't know. Maybe they didn't trace the call back to this guy. He probably called from a payphone or who knows? And like I mentioned before, this case is solved. So although the unidentified caller never came forward, Kathy's case has since been closed. The authorities actually linked her murder to a serial killer named Michael Lee Lockhart from Toledo, Ohio. In May of 1987, Lockhart stole a blue 1986 Toyota Celica and kept it until November 1987. Authorities believe that during this time, he abducted and murdered Kathy. Lockhart was arrested on March 22, 1988 for burglary of an automobile and possession of marijuana. Blue fibers found at the crime scene actually matched fibers from the stolen vehicle he was in. Credit card receipts also placed him in Las Vegas at the time of the murder. And finally, when investigators questioned him about Kathy's case, he virtually confessed to the crime. I actually believe he was also the caller that kept calling in, and this was some horrible attempt to try to throw police off his trail. And like I mentioned, Lockhart was a serial killer. Poor Kathy was not his first victim. Lockhart was convicted of the capital murder of police officer Paul Holsey Jr. in Beaumont, Texas. Holsey had followed Lockhart driving a stolen Corvette to a local hotel, then followed him into his room as he was making the arrest. Lockhart then punched the officer, grabbed his gun, and then shot him. And according to a statement later given by Lockhart, he then shot him a second time and then fled. And just wanted to mention, also during his trial, Lockhart bolted and jumped through a third-story courthouse window. And of course, his escape was unsuccessful. But getting back to Lockhart's other crimes here. So Lockhart was also implicated in a series of gruesome crimes during the 5 months preceding this Texas murder, including the assault, murder, and mutilation of 16-year-old Wendy Gallagher in Griffith, Indiana on October 13th, 1987. And assault of Lockhart's former wife in Toledo, Ohio on November 7th through the 8th, 1987. And also the assault, murder, and mutilation of 14-year-old Jennifer Callhauer in Land O'Lakes, Florida on January 20th, 1988. Lockhart was convicted of murder and was on death row in both Indiana and Florida at the time of his execution in Texas on December 9th, 1987 by lethal injection. Since he had already been sentenced to death in 3 states, Nevada decided not to pursue prosecution. What do you guys think about that story? A young girl had premonitions of dying at the age of 16. Her 16th birthday comes around and 3 months later found dead. It was even rumored that she had written poems about her death and drew pictures of herself like lying in a pool of blood. It's pretty strange, pretty bizarre, scary to think about, but yeah, what do you guys think about that? Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. If you're new to my channel and you like today's episode, make sure to subscribe for more true crime stories. Be safe, be good,